And I'm going to ask you, do you see anything odd in this access list? Take a look at it for a moment. What it is access list 99 deny, and then this subnet at the end isn't really needed, because if you remember, there's an implied deny any. So everything would be denied, so it's not needed. But through the course of this material, you can't see the implied deny all. So I included this just to make points earlier in this nugget. But now, in a real-world situation, what we would normally see following this deny line is a permit any. And because we're going to talk about editing ACLs, it's perfect timing. Let's do that. Let me get myself to a configuration prompt. And what we're going to do is add to access list 99 a permit statement of any. And let's see what it does. Alright, Control Z. And let's show the run. This is our running config. And what we're going to see is it did add the line. Here's the access list. And it added it to the end of the access list, which is great in our case. But let's say we wanted to add another line. We made this access list and we said, you know what? I actually want to deny another part of a packet. So we want to include another deny line here. Let's try to do that. Okay, access dash list. This time it's going, or it's still 99, but this time it will be a deny statement. And let's deny, let's see, just the whole 192 range, 192.0.0.0. There we go. Let's see what happens with this. Let's Control Z out of this, show our running config. Alright, very interesting. Look what we have now in our access list. Remember we talked about access lists operate on a first hit basis. This deny statement was appended to the end of the access list. Because the permit any statement is before it, it has no effect. So when we're editing ACLs, if you want to add a line and you need to add it at the end of the ACL, there is no problem there. If you need that line added anywhere within the ACL, you can't do it. And in that case, you're going to have to rebuild the ACL. But let me show you something else. Let's say, okay, we looked at this access list and that last line just didn't fit where it's supposed to. I want to get that line out. Let's try that. Again, into the configuration mode. No. And this time I'm just going to highlight this line, copy and paste it, and hit enter. It took that entry, right? So what we would suspect we would see is probably an access list like this, without the last line. Let's see if that holds true. And it doesn't. Do you see that our access list is gone? It's nowhere in the config. In fact, if we use the more pointed command, show access list, it says, I don't know what you're talking about. So any time that we delete a line, it takes the whole access list out. Wow, it's pretty interesting, huh? We can't add a line to the middle, and if we delete a line, it completely blows the access list out of the water. We still need to complete the editing of our access list, though. So what we're going to have to do, now that we don't have one, is going back into Conf-T and build our access list again. So let's do that. Access list 99 permit, again, our first line was 171.16.32.5. We're allowing that. And I'm going to go through a little bit of shorthand as we do this. With the up arrow, as you recall in our iOS basics, I can bring myself back to the prompt that I need to be at to build these a bit faster. 192.168.1.0. Oops, .0. Alright, mask of 0.0.0.255. Enter that. Bring it up. .128 was the network here, and the mask was actually 127. See, these editing functions are actually really useful with the arrow keys, so definitely I suggest that you use these if at all possible. Now we got to take care here that we're getting into a deny statement. If you recall our original access list, 192.168.0.0. Alright, now this is the new line that we were trying to add earlier. Again, we couldn't do it. We couldn't slip it in the middle, and we could not edit it any other way either. So I'm going to take the whole network, denied, adjust our mask accordingly, hit enter. Now we have our new line, and then the last line is going to be our permit any that we added earlier. Now we have it. Alright, let's show this. This was our end goal, this access list. And you see that it actually is quite a process to get here. You have to blow the access list away and completely rebuild it. Now there's a question though. What happens while we're rebuilding that access list? Traffic, is it passing? Is it not passing? And I tell you, the answer is a bit interesting. Right now with the iOS features, when you delete the access list, the access group, the only thing it has left is the implied deny any, and so it stops all traffic. So our options are to leave that on there and no traffic gets in, depending on the criticality of the computers behind us, or to take the IP access group command, and let me show you that command so you remember what we're talking about. It's on the interface, and it's right here, interface E0, IP access group out. If I leave this command on here, traffic is stopped. If I take this out, all traffic is allowed, and depending again on the security of your computers on the back end, that might not be a good idea. Completely your call. Alright? So let's talk about real-world applications for a minute though. If you have access lists, they're more than likely going to be complex. And with any complex access list, when you go to edit it, there will be typos, and there will be times that you put the order of the lines in the wrong order. And when you do that, you're going to have to blow the access list away again and then edit a new access list. If there's another typo, after you look at it, blow it away and do it again. You can imagine the time that we're vulnerable for our networks. What's a way around this? I'm going to show you. Alright, let's stop this. Let's bring up our access list again, because I'm going to show you something about it that needs to be adjusted. Alright, we have just added the line access list 99 deny 192 in that entire network, right? So what use does this line, access list 99 deny 192.168, really have? It's simply an additional line in our access list that can serve to confuse us or take up more process time. So we want that out. This time we're going to use a different process for doing this. We're going to copy this information, bring up Notepad, paste the information in the Notepad, and we're going to perform our editing here. Note that while we're editing, there is no effect on our computers in our network. So let me take this line that we feel doesn't need to be here, simply back it up, then I'll select all, because this is now the access list that I want. Copy here. Let's go back to our router. Let's go into conft. Now take care, if we were simply to paste the lines that we had earlier into this config, we would not have the effect of deleting this line, because again it appends it to the end, or what you would see here, something a bit new, is if it is exactly the same line that is already in the ACL, it'll just leave it there. So we wouldn't have this gone. So what we have to do is blow away the access list as we did before. So we just say no access list 99, and now we can build it back up. This is where I'm going to use the paste command. Much easier. See, every line that we had, hit an enter at the end line here, is applied. Let's Control Z and let's show our access list and see if we had the desired effect. Alright, there it is. Here's our access list. The deny line is gone that we wanted to delete, and it was much easier. And if we had had some rework time or some time with typos while we're in Notepad, it would not have affected traffic on our network. Isn't that awesome? Man, what a session. We covered quite a bit. In fact, Let's take a look at exactly what was covered. We looked at the IP header, its true structure, and what we can filter on. The syntax of the access list command and when to use it. ACL ranges, protocols affected, and the features. ACL filtering, this is the true power behind our tool. ACL processing, first hit, easy enough. Applying and editing an ACL, real-world type solutions. Love it. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.